Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 75 of Shattered Image, and this one is titled Court Day Part 3. Miss Yin, I believe that you attend UA High School, she asked you with a smile. Yeah, correct, you replied. How do you find the school? Your lawyer asked. Are you trained to be a hero? That's correct, yes? Yeah, I am, you replied. I do like the school. I'll admit I didn't want to go there at first. I thought it was a waste of time, but I've changed my mind now. If I may ask, your lawyer asked, what was it that changed your mind? You looked at Sero and Aizawa and then back to her. I met some people who challenged everything I knew to be true. They stuck by me when I needed someone the most, and they put themselves out there and treated me like a person. Like I mattered. Like I was someone who was worth putting their time and effort into. And I want to do that for others. You said, your speech bringing a tear to your proud mother's eye, though you didn't see, since you were doing your best not to look in their direction. Your lawyer nodded. Now, she said, I believe you went to a local public school in the area before you attended UA. Is that correct? Yes, correct, you said. Then you gave the name of the school. You got involved with the law twice while at that school, correct? She asked you. Yeah, correct. You nodded. The lawyer then walked back to her desk and picked up some papers and then held them up. Your Honour, I have the police records here of Miss Yin if you'd like to see them, she asked. To your surprise, the judge shook his head. Not necessary, he said. Please continue with the interview. Very well, Your Honour, your lawyer said, and then turned to you again. Yin, I believe you were hospitalised once while at your previous public school. Yes, correct, I stabbed my teacher, you said, and a gasp and whispers rushed through the onlookers, which brought your attention to them, and it was then that you looked around the room, your eyes flicking left and right. Suck it up, people, you thought. It's not that shocking. As your eyes flitted around the room, you spotted a guy in a suit sitting at the back of the courtroom, his yellow, beady eyes keeping a close watch of you, and you couldn't help but feel like this man was in there for more than just curiosity's sake. You took an extra second to stare him down, narrowing your eyes at him and letting him know that you had spotted him. You saw a small smirk pull at his lips, but aside from that, he didn't move. He didn't back down from your stare either. The two of you locked in a heavy stare-off before your lawyer spoke to you again. Did you receive any assistance in a meaningful way at the hospital when you were there? She asked you. No, you replied shortly to her. I see, she said, and I believe you've been hospitalised again one more time since at UA, correct? She asked you. Correct, you said. Would you mind telling me about your experience in the hospital this second time around? She asked. Yeah, you said, focusing back on her now to tell your story and not be distracted by this guy at the back. Aizawa-sensei, also known as Hero Eraserhead, was already my teacher at the time, you said, and both Sero and Aizawa were surprised by your polite way of speaking about him. You continued. He made sure that I got the help that I needed, and got me information on my quirk that I had not been privy to before. Prior to Aizawa-sensei's help, I knew nothing about my quirk. You said, What is your quirk exactly? Your lawyer asked you, and you glanced at this sketchy guy at the back of the room again, and then replied. I have a mirror maze quirk. Mental mirror maze. I can cause people to think that they're stuck inside a mirror maze, but it's all in their own mind, you said to her. In reality, they're just frozen, standing still in place. Interesting, your lawyer said. And you have only come to know about the workings of your quirk since your teacher and mentor, Aizawa, got you the information on it? Yeah, correct, you said. With this information, I've now been able to understand my quirk and how it affects me, you added. Your Honour and members of the jury, your lawyer said, addressing them, I have Yin's full and extensive test results including brain scans, MRI, quirk apprehension testing, psychological testing and other tests, all well done while she was in hospital in her most recent admission. And alongside these scans and tests, there are specialist diagnoses of her condition and fitfulness for her to remain in society. Please be reminded that these are the leading specialists in this field and their word is final. Please feel free to read over these as I request for a recess for the information to be processed, she said, holding up the papers. The judge nodded and called for a recess with a whack of his gavel on the pad, and you were free to get down from the stands again as the paperwork was handed over to the jury and they left to head into a back room to review it. Well done, Yin, your lawyer praised you as you approached her at the desk and then sat down. Whoa. Sero said as he sidled up behind you, keeping in behind the barrier that stopped him from entering into the forefront of the courtroom. I don't think I've ever heard you speak so politely. Shut up, you replied with a smirk. I can be polite when I want to be. The case seems to be going well, Aizawa commented to the lawyer as he stepped up beside Sero. You looked at him, and then you caught sight of the sketchy guy again, who was still sitting at the back of the room watching you, and you scowled at him. "Hey, Aizawa, who's that guy?" you asked your teacher, jerking your head towards him. "Oh, no sensei this time," Sero joked when he heard you hadn't used it this time when addressing your teacher, but then he also turned to look at the guy who you were pointing out. Aizawa looked behind himself and locked eyes with this guy, and the man nodded and gave a sign with his hand to Aizawa, which your teacher appeared to know and just nodded at the man and then looked back for now. "Disregard him for now," Aizawa said. "Who is he? You know him?" you asked your teacher. Aizawa shook his head. "No, I don't know him personally," he replied. "You know him. Who is he?" you demanded. "I don't know who he is," Aizawa said again firmly, "but I know who he works for, and you're to disregard him. That's it. No more questions," he said firmly, and you jammed your mouth shut and sat down with annoyance. Just then your dad came over and gave you an encouraging smile. "I don't want to say too much, but you're doing very well, and we're very proud of you," he said to you. "I just want you to know that." You looked at him and nodded, but you were still fixated on the guy at the back of the room because he kept giving you sly smirks and looks and was really pissing you off now. You chatted to those around you a little longer, and then the next time you looked up to the back of the room again, the guy had gone. Wait, where'd he go? You wondered, looking around to try and find him again, but he had vanished. When you looked around to the front of the room, you noticed that the judge had also gone, but you didn't put the two and two together until you were approached by the judge's assistant, who walked over to you and your small group and nodded at everyone. "Lawyer and Miss Lynn," he said politely, "the judge would like a private word with you both, please." You looked at Aizawa and stood up. He nodded. "Go, you'll be okay," he added, and you then looked at Sero and then turned to follow the lawyer out of the room. As you got to the doors that led out the back, there was another man there who stopped you and looked back over to where Sero and Aizawa were standing. "Bring a razor head too," he said to you, and your lawyer and you looked over your shoulder to your teacher, but he seemed to have understood what was going on and just walked through the little gates to the forefront of the court and then joined your little team as you exited into the hallway, leaving behind Sero standing there in the courtroom alone and confused. Oh, who's this sketchy guy? Unfortunately, we will have to wait till next week. I will see you for chapter 76 next week, or I'll see you for more Heard You Like Me. See you then.